No matter how often you've taught a case, no matter how often you've taught, or how much experience you have, every time you go into the classroom, there's a sense of anticipation for the unknown.
The classroom has this sort of bustling, sort of crackling, quiet energy, and everyone's wondering who's going to get the cold call today.
Every single day, you know, it might happen, it might come.
You can make a mistake or you don't have to have the right answer. Whatever you say, the section is going to support you.
And yet the moment when the professor calls your name for that cold call, it's kind of unlike any other jolt.
A professor will walk into the classroom and ask a student to start the discussion on a particular point of view. What would you do if you were the protagonist in the case?
What are managers' responsibilities to the societies in which they do business? Potik, why don't you get us started? How did you vote?
I voted for humanitarian. So I thought about it in the three-lens framework of ethical, legal, and economic. The arguments in favor of him being humanitarian came out to be stronger. They can afford to see their margins go down from 47% to something like 20 or 30%. And still be able to offer these drugs at slightly lower prices.
What we try to do with the case method is bring as much of reality into the classroom as we can. So the cases are 15 to 20 pages long. They typically describe a complicated situation in a company where a manager has got to make a decision.
We've crafted the cases so you don't have complete information. So you have to learn how to advocate and learn how to make decisions in the presence of incomplete information.
And it gives students ideally enough information so that they can put themselves in the shoes of the protagonist.
And they've got to think about the people they're working with, the technology, the industry, the competition, the overall economic environment.
The classroom is really sort of the culmination of a learning experience that actually starts from the moment that the students actually pick up their case assignment.
So my case preparation is generally a two-stage process. To start, it's a solitary exercise. I read the case on my own. I'm trying to take in as much information as I can.
We're reading cases, you know, from the med world, from the tech world, from the education world, things that you haven't necessarily done.
And most students go through a period of thinking, I must be the admissions mistake. Because look at all of these people that I'm around.
I think I've learned a lot from my classmates, from their different backgrounds, the way that they see the world, their point of view shaped by their entire background and where they came from. And you learn to see that there are a lot of different ways of looking at the same issue.
Students are in learning teams or study groups where they share their ideas.
It's almost like a mini case study experience in that discussion group because we will challenge each other and we're very free about it.
Sorry, but it was interesting, like the corporate culture.
We count on the diversity. It's one of the things that we know even from research is that the more diversity you have, the better problem solving you have. And that's what we see in a case discussion, is you have better problem solving because of all the different kinds of people that we have in the class.
Every professor not only knows your name, but they know where you went to college, where you're from.
Throughout the class, they're very much interested in your personal and professional development.
Before every class, we have a meeting, and the professors discuss their ideas and their strategies for how that case might be taught.
We're missing an opportunity to introduce what's really going on in terms of culture and capitalism.
We spend some time talking about the substance of the case and sometimes talking about the best questions to ask in class.
You go into the class and you're quite ready to work your plan. But then what you do is you then have to get ready to be really flexible and then to give up the plan. So you know this is coming next, so like where's the line? Right? I mean, there's, you know, too much. I mean, how would you even think about that?
You know, it's all well and good to say, oh, governments, NGOs, whoever should be on top of it and alert the public when the market's failing, when you have a situation where you have a tragedy that comes.
If you can just imagine what it's like to sit in a room with 90 other people who are all there committed to talk about a given subject, a given case.
Right. Megumi, is that how it works in your experience with respect to malaria drugs and things like that?
One thought that came to my mind as Victoria was speaking is this issue of, will the company be the one that takes responsibility and bears some of that cost?
So someone might say something particularly out of the box or off the wall. You see all the hands in the classroom shoot up and really the twinkle in the professor's eye at that moment.
To what extent do I just have an obligation to take opportunities to make a change versus actually creating opportunities and going out of my way?
In a good class, there is some amount of tension because, let's face it, these cases and the decisions the protagonist is having to make are tense, and they're trade-offs, and they're tough.
In some sense, I think of the classroom as a